Have you ever wondered what actually happened to all the number 1 draft picks from the 1990s? Well, let's go find out. The first number 1 pick of the 90s was Derrick Coleman. He won Rookie of the Year award, had one All-Star appearance and made the All-NBA third team twice. He was a 6'10" forward with a guard's shooting touch and had the raw skill and offensive savvy to become an All-Star caliber player. In his first 5 seasons with the Nets, he flourished with averages of 19.9 points, 10.6 rebounds and 3.1 assists, becoming one of the only 6 players at that time to record such numbers. After those 5 years, however, his career started derailing. Coleman then played for the 76ers, Hornets and Pistons, but without much success. From his first season onwards, people said he didn't try very hard. Ultimately, Coleman gradually faded as weight gain, injuries and a reputation for moodiness dimmed his shine. His prime, however, remains remarkable. In 1991, Larry Johnson was selected first overall. He was an athletic marvel who came into the league with incalculable potential. Johnson came out of college as an NCAA champion and was named Naismith College Player of the Year. In the NBA, he also won Rookie of the Year, was an All-Star 2 times and signed a 12-year, $84 million contract in 1993 that was the largest in league history at that time. Johnson played 10 seasons in the NBA, evenly split between the Hornets and the Knicks. In just his second season, he averaged 22.1 points and 10.1 rebounds. Afterwards, back problems sapped his bounce, but Johnson developed skills to compensate, as the power forward shot 38.6% from deep. Overall, he was a good player and ranks 10th among number 1 picks in the last 30 years. The third number 1 pick of the 90s was Shaquille O'Neal. We've crossed into new territory here, as Shaq is the kind of unquestioned megastar who hardly needs statistical justification for his placement. Everyone knows how great Shaq was. Perhaps the most physically overpowering force the league has ever seen, O'Neal won 4 championships, 2 scoring titles, made Rookie of the Year, had 14 All-Star appearances, won 1 MVP and 3 Finals MVPs. In his MVP season in 2000, Shaq averaged 29.7 points and 13.6 rebounds. Throughout his 20-season-long career, he played for the Magic, Lakers, Heat, Suns, Cavs and Celtics. Shaq is 10th all-time in total points, 16th in rebounds, 9th in blocks, and deserves mention in the conversation about the greatest centers to ever play. In his prime, there was no one who could hold him back. This 7'1" giant just pushed you back, turned around and dunked on you. Shaquille O'Neal is without a doubt one of the best number 1 picks in NBA history. But we still have to talk about legends like Tim Duncan or Allen Iverson, so make sure to watch until the end. In 1993, Chris Webber was the first overall draft pick. He won the Rookie of the Year award, was an All-Star 5 times and deservedly became a Hall of Famer. As a rookie, he averaged 17.5 points and 9.1 rebounds, already proving that he was a worthy number 1 pick. But his best season was in 2001, when he put up astonishing numbers of 27.1 points and 11.1 rebounds on average. Nowadays, many first picks flop, but Chris Webber is another example for well-chosen draft picks. He started and ended his career with the Warriors, and in between played for the Wizards, Kings, 76ers and Pistons. Furthermore, c-webb almost won a championship if not for Robert Horry's back-breaking 3 in Game 4 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals. But with or without a ring, Chris Webber remains a force to be reckoned with. The 5th number 1 pick of the 90s was Glenn Robinson, a member of the 1995 All-Rookie First Team, a 2-time All-Star and the owner of 8 seasons with a scoring average over 20 points per game. Robinson is probably best remembered as a key piece of a 2001 Bucks team that made it all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Robinson played 8 seasons for the Bucks and afterwards 1 each for the Hawks, Sixers and Spurs. Consistently poor defense and a shoot first pass never mentality meant he was always more of a secondary star than a true cornerstone, but he still was a solid bucket getter. He also won a championship with the Spurs in 2005, but this one is insignificant as he was far out of his prime and only averaged 10 points that season. However, just looking at his career averages, we have yet another strong number 1 draft pick. If you also want to be selected first, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It would help me out a lot, but now let's get back. In 1995, Joe Smith was selected first overall in the NBA draft. Right down to his name, Smith might be the most nondescript, easily forgettable top pick the league has ever seen. He averaged 17 points and 8.2 rebounds in his 2.5 seasons with the Warriors before disappearing into journeyman obscurity for the next 13 years. Though he lacked the strength to finish inside consistently, Smith was a solid mid-range shooter at 6'10". Dating back to 2000, he took a full third of his shots from mid-range and hit 40.6% of them. Awards-wise, Smith's only honor was a 1996 spot on the All-Rookie First Team. Classmates Kevin Garnett and Rasheed Wallace had to settle for second team placement that year. Coupled with 1,030 career games, which ranks 6th on his list, Smith had a fine career nobody would ever confuse for a great one. Finally, a number 1 pick who didn't have an awesome prime. The next number 1 pick on our list is Allen Iverson, a name we have all heard before. As a rookie, Iverson already averaged 23.5 points, which was incredible given his height of just 6 feet. He won Rookie of the Year, 4 scoring titles, 1 MVP and had 11 All-Star appearances. His 4 scoring titles were a testament to his otherworldly competitive spirit. And that mentality helped define Sixers teams that reached the playoffs 6 times in Iverson's first 9 seasons, peaking with the trip to the finals in 2001. The same year, which was also AI's MVP season, he averaged 31.1 points per game. What was remarkable was his ability to dominate despite his height and skinny frame. Guys like Shaquille O'Neal or Tim Duncan dominated partly because of their height, but Iverson could do it without it. He was extremely flashy and surprised with his quick handles and nasty crossovers. Besides his accolades on the court, AI was a cultural icon off the court. He inspired a whole generation with his style, passion for the game and views on certain things. Ultimately, Allen Iverson was a deserved number 1 draft pick, and though he didn't win a ring, his absurd numbers and presence on the court was being felt. Right now, it feels like the 90s produced one NBA star after another, as in 1997, Tim Duncan was selected first overall. Throughout his 19 years in the NBA, he made the All-NBA team 15 times. His 15 years as an All-Defensive honoree are the most in NBA history. Nobody else has more than 12. 2 MVPs, 5 championships, 3 Finals MVPs and 15 All-Star appearances give Duncan an incomparable resume. And that's before trying to figure out how much extra credit he deserves for serving as the rock of the Spurs' 2-decade run of playoff appearances. While he never made as much noise as Shaq or Iverson for example, he can be considered the best number 1 draft pick of the 1990s. Duncan was dominant and consistent. He played well on offense and especially on defense. He was clutch as he performed when it mattered most, which ultimately got him 5 rings. And there is no other player from the 90s who only played for one franchise and who played this good for his whole career. Alright, we have covered the stars of the 90s, but stick around because the next one is a number 1 draft bust. In 1998, Michael Olowokandi was selected first overall. His only accolade worth mentioning is the 1999 All-Rookie second team. In his 10-season-long career, he averaged just 8.3 points and 6.8 rebounds. It's hard to absorb the fact that a hulking 7-foot center took just 20% of his career shots from inside 3 feet. One of Olowokandi's flaws was his stubbornness. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar explained that if he pointed out his mistakes, he would take it as a personal insult and embarrassment, and repeat those mistakes. Ultimately, because he didn't adapt, he didn't improve. In the end, Olowokandi ended up as the worst number 1 draft pick of the 90s. But hey, he was the second number 1 draft pick from Nigeria. That has to count for something, right? Anyways, the last number 1 draft pick of the 90s was Elton Brand. And fittingly, to round this one up, Brand was good. He won Rookie of the Year and was a two-time All-Star. In his prime, Elton averaged 24.7 points and 10 rebounds and can also be considered a worthy number 1 pick. Throughout his 17-year-long season, Brand played for the Bulls, Clippers, Sixers, Mavericks and Hawks. The only unfortunate thing was an Achilles tear in 2007, which ended his dominance. Efficient on offense, a major deterrent on defense, and a ridiculously consistent source of points and rebounds before his injury, Brand belonged in the NBA's frontcourt upper class. Just as impressively, he hung on for a full decade after his torn Achilles, turning in several more productive seasons. So as we can see, the 1990s featured a plethora of successful number 1 draft picks. Nowadays, more and more number 1 picks turn out to be busts. But why is that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But now let me tell you something else, because there is a new technology that could change NBA shooting forever. So make sure to check out this video. Seriously, just click it. I'll see you there.